everyone who's watching TV today is going to hear about how great he was, and he did. I think it would be important if you're a second-class citizen to fight for equality in that country. If I had, people with beards had different drinking fountains, I would be mad as a bearded man. But everyone's going to hear about that. So let's talk about the bad stuff for a moment.
Sure.
The speech that put him on the map, of course, the speech everyone refers to, the speech everyone remembers is, "I have a dream."
Yes, and parts of that were plagiarized from Archibald Carey Jr., 1952 speech from another black preacher. So he was appropriating black culture in that speech. And I think his PhD dissertation, large chunks of that were plagiarized. And there was one other thing. What do I have here? His first public sermon, he plagiarized parts of that. So yeah, he was a word thief. And that's like, if you're a comedian, joke thief, you don't like them. I'm a writer, I don't like plagiarists.
Well, people are going to say, how does Jim Goad know this? Why am I trusting him? And the reason I had you on the show is you are very careful about your facts. In fact, I've offered people $100 for any mistake they can find in the Redneck Manifesto.
I'm a Wolverine with that stuff. As far as I know, the only things I got wrong in the Redneck book were 2 dates. That's it. But it didn't change the meaning of anything. And I'll cop to it. I'm going to do an audio book of it, and I'll change the dates. So it'll be perfect then.
Oh, great. So there's $200 floating around now that someone can get off me. And it wasn't just the speech he plagiarized. It was his dissertation. His PhD was largely false, was it not?
Yes. And he was a doctor. I always made the joke. People never asked what he was a doctor of, and I always say podiatry, but I think it was theology, right? But yeah, he plagiarized huge parts of his dissertation. Allegedly, I wasn't there, but that doesn't get around much.
Well, the thing about the plagiarizing the dissertation, that few contend that. I notice Snopes is very pro-liberal, they're very pro-MLK, but even they will concede that he plagiarized his dissertation, then they'll say, but that doesn't trivialize his incredible accomplishments.
Yeah, well, they're not writers, really. I'm a writer. It pisses me off. Can we say piss?
Yes, you may say piss.
All right.
Okay, so
But again, that's not the worst of what he's done.
Right. Let's get into the worst.
Philanderer.
What would you say the worst is that he's done?
Well, according to Ralph David Abernathy, cited by Michael Eric Dyson, who's a real bulldozing buffalo of a pro-black activist these days, the morning of the day he got shot in Memphis, he had spent the night, MLK had allegedly spent the night with 3 prostitutes. That morning, he got into a violent fight with a white prostitute. And here's, citing Ralph David Abernathy here, King shouted and knocked her across the bed. It was more of a shove than a real blow, but for a short man, he was 5'7", and I can't make enough of that, Martin had a prodigious strength that always surprised me. She leapt up to fight, and for a moment, they were engaged in a full-blown fight, with Martin clearly winning. Okay, not one to judge here, but hey, if I'm going to get judged, I'm going to drag him down with me.
Yeah, and that guy who said that, again, people don't know who he is. He's a black civil rights activist. We've heard this rumor quite a bit that Martin Luther King indulged in white prostitutes. I remember hearing a quote. I think it was the CIA who said that he was having sex with these prostitutes, and he'd say, "I'm fucking for Jesus now."
The quote I got was, "I'm f***ing for God." The problem, and I hate this, his records won't be unsealed until 2027. I bet there's a lot of fun stuff in there.
Oh, wow.
They were, I think it was the order of his widow. They were sealed for 50 years, so we won't know that. But I'd love that to be verified. That's hilarious. Yeah, I gotta say that one.
Well, you hear them a few times.
I gotta take that line.
You hear about the white prostitutes a lot. I've even heard accusations that he used church money what
I heard was Southern Christian Leadership Conference money. I'm not sure if that's church money or that's a private organization, but yeah, to have orgies. And hey, I think if you're going to have orgies, do it on your own time.
Do it on your own time, your own dime, and in private.
Bit of a leech. Yeah.
Now, this is just salacious gossip.
Those are nanny state orgies that he was having. Salacious gossip. Go ahead.
But there's fundamental problems with the man. For example, he was a fervent communist.
Well, I mean, okay, what did he say? He said, got some quotes here, things such as profit motives and property rights, he decried that. He decried the capitalists of the West, and he encouraged his listeners to question the capitalistic economy. He was his longtime advisor, Bayard Rustin. Bayard. Who names a kid Bayard? Bayard Rustin was an organizer for the Young Communist League. His speechwriter, book editor, event organizer, PR handler, tax advisor, and fundraising kingpin Stanley David Levison was a leader of the Communist Party USA and reportedly received a lot of money from the Soviets. That's quite a lot of, isn't that worse than visiting the Daily Stormer? I don't know.
Yeah,
That's direct.
The American left has to come to terms with the fact that Nazis are not a threat and communists are, and that has almost always been the case.